Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, going to be talking through the Week 3 Monday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. We do have Week 3 closing out on Monday night with a game between the Cowboys and the Giants. Again, we don't have the best primetime game. I think this game just has a 39.5 total right now. So it's another, kind of low total. It's expected to be a fairly low-scoring game. But we still got a showdown slate to talk about. We still have, primetime football on Monday night, and obviously there's, nothing better than that. I love watching these games. I love sweating out my lineups. Nothing's better than NFL season. So even when we get these kind of, crapshoot games, I'm still going to be tuning in. I'm still going to be playing all the, DFS slates, playing some prize picks. And for those of you that are new here, you can actually check out Prize Picks. They are the sponsor of this video. If you sign up for Prize Picks with my promo code Noah, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And again, Prize Picks, they're a player prop based DFS site, so it is really simple. You're just taking the over or the under. You're taking more or less on a player's projection. They have fantasy point projections already posted for pretty much all the players. They have passing yards for the quarterbacks, rushing yards for the running backs and for the quarterbacks, receiving yards, pass attempts, completions. I mean, they have everything. You can bet on just about everything on Prize Picks. You can also mix and match sports. So if you like to dabble into other sports, MLB, college football, esports, whatever it may be, Prize Picks probably offers it. So definitely check them out. Make sure that when you sign up, use promo code Noah. You will get a deposit bonus when you sign up. And if you guys do want to know some of my favorite plays, some plays I like for this Monday Night Football game, I will be making a Prize Picks video probably about an hour after this video gets posted to YouTube. I will make my Prize Picks video talking through a couple props that I like for Monday Night Football. Definitely check that video out if you are already playing on Prize Picks. But let's talk through the DraftKings Showdown slate, guys. We're going to go kind of just from top to bottom like we always do. We're going to hit on all the playable options, all the guys that I have interest in on this Showdown slate. And we'll start off at the top with Saquon Barkley, who is the most expensive option on this slate. He's $11,800, so he is pretty expensive. If you want to play Barkley at captain, it's he's going to cost you $17,700 of your salary cap. But man, it's hard to really say anything negative about Barkley right now. I guess the one negative is that, this Giants offensive line is not the best. And Barkley, especially last week, he wasn't super efficient on the ground. He only averaged, 3.4 yards per carry. But he is getting a ton of volume right now. And it seems like Barkley, he's fully healthy. He got 24 touches last week. He got 24 touches in week 1. They've just been using him a ton. He's played over 80% of the snaps in both of their games this season. There's really no competition for touches either behind Barkley. The Giants don't really have any good backups. Matt Breida is the backup for Barkley, which should really tell you all that you need to know. So Barkley is going to be on the field a ton. He's going to get monster usage. I do worry a little bit about him being kind of inefficient. He might get 20 carries and only have 60 rushing yards. But the opportunity is going to be there. And I think on this slate with this game expected to be low scoring, if Barkley puts up 15 DraftKings points tonight, that probably puts him in the winning lineup. I would say maybe puts him in the winning lineup. I think Barkley just has such a high floor that he clearly is a top option on the showdown slate, and we know the ceiling is there. If he can find the end zone once or twice, he has 25, 30-point upside. In week 1, he got into the end zone, and put up 36 DraftKings points. I know he had 164 rushing yards, but that's the kind of upside that Barkley has. I don't think this matchup is great by any means. The Cowboys have a pretty solid defense, but you're really just kind of banking on the volume from Barkley. Then you have CeeDee Lamb at $10,200, who should also continue to get good volume. Even with Cooper Rush at quarterback, CeeDee Lamb has still been getting a ton of targets now. They haven't been super efficient. He's yet to really have a big game. In week 1, he only had 2 catches for 29 yards, even though he did see 11 targets. And last week, he saw 11 targets again, had 7 catches for 75 yards. It's going to be tough with CeeDee Lamb. I think he is going to get the opportunity. I do worry a little bit about efficiency. Obviously with Cooper Rush at quarterback, you do kind of worry about this Cowboys offense being able to put up a lot of points. Right now, they just have a 19 implied team total. So that's the one concern, but it's hard to find, a guy like CeeDee Lamb. There's just not a ton of options on this slate that you feel super confident in. And I think we can feel confident that CeeDee Lamb is at least going to, get the opportunity, going to get the targets. Now, what is he able to do with those targets? Is he able to convert them into, 6 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown? Is he able to have that type of game with Cooper Rush? It's possible. Cooper Rush has kind of been locking in on CeeDee Lamb so far, since Cooper Rush has been the starter. I would rather get up to Barkley if I'm paying up for one of those top tier guys. I think Barkley just has such a high floor with how much volume he's getting. But the targets should continue to be there for CeeDee Lamb, and if the Cowboys can move the ball down the field, if they can actually put up some points in this game, you might could see CeeDee Lamb finally have a big ceiling game. So there's nothing wrong with him. I just think Barkley is the better pay-up option if I have to choose between the two. And then you have the two quarterbacks. Normally, the quarterbacks are kind of like the most expensive options, but on this slate, that's not the case. You got Cooper Rush at 9,600, and you have Daniel Jones at 9,400. Neither one of these quarterbacks have been great for fantasy. Last week, in the game that Cooper Rush did start, it fully started in, he had 13 Draftkings points. He threw the ball 31 times, 19 completions, 235 passing yards, and a touchdown. I mean, when Cooper Rush has been a starter, he has never shown really good fantasy upside, so he's not a quarterback that really has a super high ceiling. But on these showdown slates, quarterbacks normally are safe to give you 10 to 12 points. And I think Cooper Rush can at least give us double-digit DK points, which honestly might be good enough. I mean, we kind of saw this is kind of a similar situation as to the Thursday night game with the Steelers and Browns. I thought Mitchell Trubisky and Jacoby Brissett were both solid plays on that showdown slate because they were fairly cheap, and with how quarterbacks are able to put up fantasy points. Most times, even if a quarterback has a bad game, they can still score 10, 11, 12 Draftkings points. I don't think Cooper Rush had the best game last week, and he still scored 13.6 DK points. So having a quarterback at this price tag, I think, does bring him into play. I think in cash games, normally in cash games, if you do play cash games on showdown slates, I usually always want to try and roster both quarterbacks just because I think the quarterbacks do kind of give you the highest floors out of anyone, obviously besides a guy like Barkley. Honestly, I think I would take the quarterbacks over CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb probably has more upside. I think CeeDee Lamb is more likely to put up 25, 30 DK points. But if I need 10 to 12 DK points from someone, I'm probably going to side with the quarterbacks. If I have to choose between one of the two quarterbacks in this game, I do prefer Daniel Jones. He is actually a bit cheaper than Cooper Rush. And we know Daniel Jones offers some rushing upside. I know so far this season he hasn't had any good rushing games. I mean, he had 25 rushing yards in week 1, 21 last week. But he can scramble. He is a mobile quarterback. The Giants offense, their passing game has done nothing so far this season. Daniel Jones has yet to throw for more than 200 yards. I mean, week 1, only 188 passing yards on just 21 attempts. Last week he did drop back a little bit more, had 34 pass attempts, but only 176 passing yards. So they really haven't been able to do much through the air. But it's 9,400 for a quarterback that does have rushing upside, which I think is probably a little bit too cheap here. Even though this game probably will be low scoring, and I don't think Daniel Jones is going to go out there and put up 25 fantasy points. He'll probably give you 13 to 15 DK points at least, and at his price tag, with how this slate is going to shape up, that could honestly be good enough. And Daniel Jones is one of these guys that does have some upside. If he can break off some long runs. I know he's had some long runs in the past. If he can get a rushing touchdown, if they ever get near the goal line and they let Daniel Jones run it in, he has a path to 26, 27 DK points. He's got a ceiling, so I think he might be captain worthy. And normally I don't play quarterbacks in the captain. I usually try and play the receivers at captain. But I could definitely see this being a game where Daniel Jones is able to do a lot with his legs. Maybe especially with the Giants receivers so banged up right now, they're going to be missing Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney. This could be a spot where Daniel Jones just kind of tries to do it himself, and maybe we see him run the ball a little bit more. Maybe we see him a little bit more mobile. So I honestly think Daniel Jones is a really strong play. I think he's obviously a really good cash game play. And even in tournaments, I wouldn't mind playing him in the captain spot, especially with the rushing upside that he does offer. Then you got Zeke and Tony Pollard, who will kind of group together. Zeke so far this season, he hasn't really done anything. I mean, 5.9 DK points in both their games. Obviously against Tampa Bay, that was a game that the Cowboys offense just looked completely terrible. They only put up 3 points. Zeke was super inefficient on the ground. And then last week against Cincinnati, he was really inefficient again, only averaged 3.5 yards per carry. He did get 16 touches in that game. He is going to get the volume, and obviously with the Cowboys, without Dak Prescott, this Cowboys team wants to just kind of run the ball as much as possible. I don't think they want Cooper Rush throwing the ball 35, 40 times unless they kind of have to let him do that. So I do expect the Cowboys to try and establish the run. But I think Zeke at this point, man, Zeke is just a touchdown or bust player. We never see Zeke have 120, 130 rushing yards anymore. He's not that efficient of a runner anymore. His pass game usage is not as good as it used to be either. So I'm not that high on Zeke. I think if you are playing Zeke on the slate, you're probably just hoping that he gets a couple goal line touchdowns, which is always possible. If the Cowboys ever do get near the goal line, I mean, Zeke is always a threat to just punch one in. But I have a hard time seeing him put up a good score at 8,400 without finding the end zone, just because he's just not nearly as efficient on the ground as he used to be. I think the Cowboys' offensive line right now is kind of banged up too, so that doesn't help either. And then Tony Pollard, I mean, I really never play Tony Pollard. When Zeke's healthy, I really wish that like Tony Pollard played for a different team, because I think Tony Pollard's like the best backup running back in the league. It sucks that he has to split time with Zeke. I think if he was a number one running back, he would be like a top running back in fantasy. We've seen him have huge games in the past whenever Zeke has been out, but he's going to be splitting time with Zeke. He probably gets 10 to 12 touches, maybe gets like 8 to 10 carries and probably 3-4 targets. I think Pollard is the much more explosive running back between him and Zeke. I think Pollard offers more just upside. But like 8,200 does feel like a lot to pay for Tony Pollard on this Showdown slate. I think there's guys that are cheaper that offer the same amount of upside, if not more. You have CeeDee Lamb and the quarterbacks up there. You have Saquon up there. I think Pollard will be fairly low owned, so like he's always someone you could consider for just for low ownership. But the price tag is kind of high. I think him and Zeke are not guys I'm really like prioritizing on this Showdown slate. I do like Sterling Shepard quite a bit, though. I expect Sterling Shepard to, obviously operate as the Giants' #1 receiver here. As we mentioned, Wan'Dale Robinson already been ruled out for this game, and Kadarius Toney is doubtful, so he's not expected to play either. I mean, last week Sterling Shepard saw 10 targets. He played on a good amount of snaps as well. I think he was #2 on the team in snaps. He played 88% of the snaps last week. David Sills played 92%. Clearly, Shepard is going to be involved in their passing offense now. The one negative is that the Giants' passing offense has completely they've been playing at their absolute floor lately. I think Daniel Jones has really been playing like at his floor as well, especially like his passing efficiency so far. He's just not been very good through the air, at least passing yards wise. Maybe this is finally a game where Daniel Jones is able to rack up some passing yards. Maybe he throws for like 250, 260 yards. I know he's not projected for nearly that amount, but I think the volume is going to be there for Sterling Shepard. I think he's going to be on the field a lot. He got 10 targets last week. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees close to double-digit targets again. Daniel Jones has to throw the ball to somebody, and clearly Shepard is kind of his #1 target right now, him and Saquon Barkley. So I think Sterling Shepard at 7,600 looks like a really solid play in the mid-range. I like him quite a bit on this Showdown slate. Then you have Michael Gallup, who is expected to make his season debut. Michael Gallup, coming back from that injury that he suffered last season. He hasn't played yet this season, but he got some practices in this week. I think he had full practices in this week, and he's expected to go. There's been no report of like any pitch count or any snap count for Michael Gallup, but this will be something to keep an eye on as we get closer to the start of the game Monday night. We might get report on if Gallup's going to be like full go or not. Since it is his first game coming back from injury, there's definitely some risk with Michael Gallup. But, without Amari Cooper on this team now, Michael Gallup's kind of their wide receiver too. I know Noah Brown's been playing well lately, and Noah Brown seems to have a good connection with Cooper Rush. But I expect Gallup to come out, and be involved. I expect him to, probably play on a decent amount of snaps, assuming there's no pitch count or anything. I think Shepard's just a much safer play. Obviously, Shepard's not having to deal with an injury like Gallup is. But Gallup is a talented receiver. I think his target share is going to be higher this year without Amari Cooper on the team anymore. So Gallup is playable, but he's definitely a riskier option. And then Noah Brown, I think, might take a little bit of a hit here with Gallup back. But Noah Brown has been good as the wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys so far this season. He saw 9 targets in week 1. He had 5 targets last week. He definitely had the best game of all the Cowboys receivers. 5 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Cooper Rush has been targeting Noah Brown a good amount. At 6,800 though, like this price tag, I think is probably where it should be now, especially with Gallup in the mix. If Gallup was still out, I think I would feel a little bit better about Noah Brown. But now that Gallup is expected back, I think that does hurt Noah Brown a little bit. I don't think it takes Noah Brown out of play. But he's not like a priority option for me. I would definitely rather play Sterling Shepard, just kind of at a similar price point. And then Dalton Schultz, I think he's actually kind of a true question mark. Dalton Schultz, I believe he got limited practices in. Okay, so he did not practice Thursday, and then he did not practice Friday either. So I think Dalton Schultz is kind of trending more towards doubtful, whereas Gallup is more towards probable. Like I think Gallup is expected to play, whereas Schultz is like a kind of a 50-50. If Dalton Schultz does not play, that will definitely give us some value on the Showdown slate, and we'll talk about a cheap option that I do like if Schultz were to miss. If Schultz plays at his price tag, I don't think he's like a great option. I think he's just kind of like a touchdown or bust play. I do expect Schultz to get good volume in this Cowboys offense, but I think he definitely takes a hit without Dak Prescott. He did not have a great game last week. I believe he did get injured last week, and he didn't actually play the full game, but he still only got 4 targets, just 2 catches for 18 yards. He definitely feels like a kind of, if he plays, kind of a touchdown or bust option. Not someone that I'm really going to be prioritizing on the Showdown slate, but we will talk about Jake Ferguson because he would be a really good value if Schultz were to sit. And then Kenny Golladay, I mean, I don't think you can really play Kenny Golladay right now. Last week, Kenny Golladay literally played 2 snaps. Like, he's not been involved. He did play 77% of the snaps in week 1, but I guess he's just in the doghouse right now. I know the Giants wide receiver core is banged up, and they're going to be missing 2 receivers for this game. So, like, you would think Kenny Golladay is going to have to play more without Tony and Robinson. Like, you would think they play Kenny Golladay more, but I'm not confident in that. I think Golladay is going to project pretty poorly for the salary. I think he's going to be very, very low owned. If you want to just take a shot on Golladay and hope that this is the game that he finally gets some playing time and they target him, you could do it, but it's a risky option for sure. The fact that he played 2 snaps last week is a big red flag, so I don't have really any confidence in Kenny Golladay right now. I think he's just kind of a millie maker, just like dart throw at best. Maybe if he was cheaper, I'd feel more confident, but at $6,200, I mean, you're paying the full price for Golladay right now. But then talking about some value on the slate, so we got to talk about these Giants receivers. Without Robinson and Tony, you got guys like Richie James and David Sills who are definitely going to be in play for value. Richie James is $5,400. He's primarily going to play out of the slot, I do believe. Last week, Richie James played on 42% of the snaps. He was targeted 6 times, and he's been solid so far this year for the Giants. He had 5 catches for 59 yards in week 1, 5 catches for 51 yards last week. No Robinson, no Tony. Probably means more playing time for Richie James and maybe a few more targets as well. The price tag at $5,400 is not super hard to get to. Like, I think at this price tag, he is definitely still in play. So I do like Richie James as a value wide receiver. I don't mind David Sills either. I think between James or Sills, I prefer James. I don't know much about either one of these guys, but I think James just kind of has shown more upside. He's also been more consistent. But David Sills did actually lead the Giants wide receiver core in playing time last week. David Sills played on 92% of the snaps last week, which was actually more than Sterling Shepard. He was only targeted 4 times. He didn't really do anything, but he's going to be on the field a good amount, and he's only $5K, so he is also in play if you're looking for some value. But again, I do prefer Richie James if I'm choosing between one of those 2 Giants receivers. The defenses I'm not like super high on. I mean, I would not be surprised if the Giants defense playing at home here is able to force some turnovers and maybe Cooper Rush throws a couple interceptions. But defenses are usually always over-owned, and I don't think either defense I'm in love with. The Cowboys defense, they are able to generate pressure on the quarterback. They got 6 sacks last week. Daniel Jones, he'll definitely turn the ball over. He'll fumble the ball. He'll throw picks. One of these defenses might have a good game, but I'm fine just kind of fading the defenses and just hoping that like neither one scores a touchdown or something. Hopefully, both these teams can at least put up 14 points so that defenses, don't get there on just, hopefully neither one of these teams puts up 3 points or anything. As long as they put up some points and there's not a pick 6, I feel fairly confident that probably neither defense will be in the winning lineup. If you do play the defenses, you're just always hoping for a defensive touchdown. And normally I'm fine just kind of hoping, just fading the defenses and hope that doesn't happen and just accepting the loss if it does. But rarely do you see the defenses in the winning lineup that often. And then the kickers, I think on this slate with how poor the value is, I think the kickers are definitely fine. One of the 2 kickers I'm fine with. The Giants tight ends I'm probably not going to go to. They might see a few more targets here without Robinson and Tony, but they really not been involved at all. Bellinger's kind of been their lead tight end, but he's touchdown or bust. I mean, last week he had 1 catch and it was a touchdown. You're basically hoping he catches a touchdown at $4,400. I know they've been involved in Tanner Hudson too. He got 3 targets last week, but yeah, I'm not going to play any of the Giants tight ends. However, I do want to mention, I want to mention Ferguson. So I would expect that if Dalton Schultz does sit this game, you will see Jake Ferguson actually kind of step in as the number 1 tight end. And last week after Dalton Schultz got injured, so Dalton Schultz played on, Dalton Schultz, I can't remember. I think Dalton Schultz might have actually played the full game last week. It looks like he played 90% of the snaps. I want to say that Schultz got injured mid-game, but he played 90% of the snaps last week. But we did still see Jake Ferguson play 56% of the snaps. So clearly Jake Ferguson is kind of the backup tight end, and obviously if Schultz doesn't play, that would force Ferguson into a starting tight end role. And Ferguson is the minimum salary on Draftkings. He is $200. if he just gets a couple catches, I mean, he could make his way into the winning lineup with just a few catches. And by some chance, if he catches a touchdown, he's almost certainly going to be in the winning lineup. So, yeah, if Dalton Schultz winds up sitting, I think Ferguson is going to be probably the best value play on the slate. It's going to be really hard for him to kill you at $200, even if he does put up a 0, which is possible, I guess. Even if he does put up a 0, I don't think you're drawing dead. You probably won't take down any tournaments, but you can still min cash with a 0 from a minimum salary guy. So, yeah, I'm really going to be interested in Ferguson if Schultz doesn't play. And with Schultz not practicing on Thursday or Friday, I think there's definitely a good chance that Schultz does sit this game. You know, that'll be something we monitor heading up to kickoff Monday night. But that's what I got for the showdown slate, guys. I think we kind of talked about all the playable options, you know, all the guys that I have interest in. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I hope these videos help. Hit that like button if you do enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. We're we're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. We just hit 29,000 subscribers the other day. On the road to 30,000 subscribers now. So definitely hit that subscribe button, guys, if you haven't yet. Also, check out Prize Picks too. Sign up for Prize Picks. Make sure to use promo code NOAH. When you sign up, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. I will be sharing a couple Prize Picks plays that I like for tonight's game. I'll make a separate video that'll probably get posted about an hour or two after this video goes up, talking through some Prize Picks plays I like for tonight's game. If you want to tell me, see some picks that I like, you can obviously check out that video. Yeah, but for those of you that have not signed up for Prize Picks, definitely sign up, use code NOAH, get your deposit bonus, check out all the props that Prize Picks has available, make some picks yourself for tonight's game. You can check out their board for other sports as well, college football, MLB, soccer, esports. Prize Picks offers just about every sport imaginable, and you can mix and match sports. You can do multi-sport entries, so it is a lot of fun. You guys definitely need to be playing on Prize Picks. Make sure to use that code NOAH, get that deposit bonus when you do sign up. But best of luck on this showdown slate, guys. Thanks as always for watching these videos. Hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.